You seriously need to avoid these sneaky money traps that can make you lose a whole lot of money and sabotage your personal finance goals. Whether you're saving for a big purchase, paying off debt, or just trying to make ends meet, these common pitfalls can trip you up and set you back. But don't worry, in this video, I'm going to take you through the most common money mistakes to avoid, whether you're in your 40s, 30s, or 20s. So grab your notebook and let's get started on avoiding these money traps and achieving your financial dreams. P.S. You're going to be shocked at the last money trap that we all make the mistake of falling into, so be sure to stay tuned to learn how to avoid it. In your 40s, there are 3 things to avoid. The first one is a midlife crisis. A midlife crisis can be a horrible financial burden and can seriously hurt your wealth building efforts. People often fall into a midlife crisis because they're unhappy, but it's important to consider if buying a fancy car or house that you can't afford is worth sacrificing your financial freedom for in the long run. It's important to understand why you're experiencing a midlife crisis and be honest with yourself about whether these impulses are worth it in the long term. Number 2, not having enough cash on hand. I understand that cash loses value every year because of inflation and other factors. But as you reach your retirement age, it's important to have extra cash on hand for a whole bunch of reasons. One of these is having cash flow. When you retire, if the market goes down or experiences a major dip, you want to have some cash on hand for a couple of years so that you can live off of it without having to draw down from your portfolio when the market is at its lowest. This helps you throughout retirement by reducing stress and anxiety. Over time, you want to build up additional cash reserves, so if you don't have cash on hand, make sure you're building up those reserve funds so that you can have a great cushion when you hit retirement age. In your 40s, another thing to avoid is investing heavily in risky assets. I would seriously not recommend investing in assets such as gold or cryptocurrency, which have no intrinsic value. Intrinsic value refers to something that is backed by financial statements or revenue, whereas the value of assets such as gold or Bitcoin is based solely on supply and demand. As you approach retirement age, it's important to invest in assets that have a history of intrinsic value and have performed well over time, such as stocks, bonds, and real estate. This will ensure that you're not taking on unnecessary risks as you enter retirement. Alright, let's talk about the messy middle, the 30s. This time frame is filled with so much going on. You might be tying the knot, having little ones, and your career is probably taking off. It's no surprise that most people in their 30s are super busy. So the goal is to avoid common money traps that tend to pop up as your income starts to rise and you can afford more things. First things first, don't overspend on a car. A car is an asset that depreciates over time and doesn't help you build wealth. You want to avoid overspending on a car at all costs. Now, you can have a nice car, but it should be affordable for you. One rule of thumb for buying cars that we recommend is the 28-3 rule. This means putting 20% down on the car, keeping the monthly car payment to no more than 8% of your gross income, and only keeping the loan for 3 years. This makes sure that if you want to retire early, you can stay within these parameters and be able to retire fast. If you don't plan to retire early, you can adjust these numbers slightly. Number 2, watch out for buying a house that's too pricey. You want to make sure you find a house that fits within your budget and that you can afford. Keep your housing expenses at 30% or less of your net income. This means 30% or less should go towards your mortgage, electricity, and any other housing related costs. This way, you won't become house poor and you can start building wealth for yourself and your family. Remember, if you're spending over 40% on housing costs, you're considered house poor and need to adjust those expenses. The third thing to avoid is taking out payday loans. These loans may seem like a quick fix for unexpected expenses, but they are actually a trap. Payday loan lenders are known for charging ridiculous interest rates, making it difficult to pay off the loan. Instead of turning to payday loans, it's better to have an emergency fund, take on a side hustle, or sell unused items to cover unexpected expenses. Stay away from payday loans and their predatory lenders at all costs. Now let's dive into the financial mistakes that people in their 20s tend to make. The main problem, putting off investing. Your dollars in your 20s are like gold because you've got the ultimate treasure, time. So don't wait to start investing, get on it ASAP. A lot of people think they have time before they need to start, but trust me, starting early is the ultimate power move. Let me paint a picture for you. If you invest $500 a month into a Roth IRA for 30 years, boom, by the end, you've got yourself over $1 million tax-free dollars. factors. Investing early is where it's at. Alright, second on the list of mistakes to avoid in your 20s, steer clear of high interest debt. It's like a vampire sucking the life out of your wealth building plans. You don't want to be stuck paying off high interest debt for eternity because it'll hold you back from building that dough. So if you've got to rack up some debt, make sure it's below 6%, otherwise just pay it off ASAP. But if it's low interest debt below 6%, then just make the minimum payments and put the rest into investments because the math says you'll come out ahead in the end. Number 3 on the no-no list is falling for subscription scams. Who doesn't love a bargain, right? But we're not cool with companies trying to pull a fast one on you. And unfortunately, some subscription companies do just that. But don't worry, there's a way to spot the good from the bad. If a company offers you a free trial but doesn't clearly state the cost after the trial period, it's a red flag. Also, if cancelling the trial is a hassle and no one is available to talk to, it's a trap. Don't fall for it. Now, free trials can be a great way to try out a service you're interested in. Just make sure you know the cost and cancellation terms before you sign up. It's never too late to start building wealth and making smart financial decisions. So now that you know what to avoid, go out there and make your money work for you. And remember, always keep an eye out for those sneaky money traps because knowledge is power. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.